And now I'm going to ask Reverend Eric Diamond, the pastor of the Bible Baptist Church, to come forward and give us reflections. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. September 10th, 2001 was just an ordinary day for me. I was working as a construction foreman, building cell sites for Verizon, AT&T, and all those people we pay a lot of money to monthly. At the end of my day on September 10th, I was told I was going to be down at Maiden Lane in New York City, Lower Manhattan, just a few blocks from the World Trade Center. I was excited. I had never been to the World Trade Center, and that morning I was planning on going to the observation deck.
Oh, wow.
See, life was good. I had gotten married in March 18th of 2000 to my lovely wife, Eileen. We bought a house. We celebrated the birth of our firstborn son, John, on December 10th of 2000. Life was good. I had a great job. I had a great wife, a son, and a house. I was living the American dream. Life was good. I went to work the morning of September 11th, 2001, was told my job assignment had been changed. I now found myself at the Indian Point nuclear plant in Buchanan, New York. Life was still good. While working, my coworker received a phone call from his brother that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. We assumed it was a small plane like most people, so we turned on the radio. Our work soon stopped as we listened intently, realizing that something serious was happening. I was safe and comfortable miles away, but was actually part of a very different reality that affected all Americans that day, some more than others. The reality of 9/11-2001 was this: that at 7:59 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11, with 92 people on board, takes off from Boston's Logan International Airport en route to Los Angeles. At 8:14 a.m., United Flight 175, with 65 people aboard, takes off from Boston, also headed to Los Angeles. At 8:19 a.m., flight attendants aboard Flight 11 alert ground personnel that the plane has been hijacked. At 8:20 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 takes off from Dulles International. It was also headed to Los Angeles. At 8:40 a.m., the Federal Aviation alerts NORAD of hijacked planes. F-16s are sent from Cape Cod to tail Flight 11. At 8:41 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93 takes off from Newark International Airport, bound for San Francisco. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashes the plane into the floors 93 to 99 of the North Tower, killing everyone on board and hundreds inside. At 8:47 a.m., within seconds, the NYPD and FDNY dispatch units to the World Trade Center. The president is notified. Port Authority officials broadcast their orders to evacuate the towers. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 crashes into the floors of the World Trade Center South Tower, killing everyone on board and hundreds inside the building. New York City is effectively shut down. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashes into the western facade of the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., killing 59 on board and 125 military and civilian personnel inside the building. For the first time in American history, all flights are grounded coming in and out of the United States. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapses. At 10:07 a.m., after passengers and crew members aboard the hijacked United Flight 93 contact friends and family learn about the attacks in New York and Washington, they mount an attempt to retake the plane in response. The hijackers deliberately crashed the plane into a field in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, killing everyone on board. At 9:28 a.m., World Trade Center's North Tower collapses, 102 minutes after being struck by Flight 11. Life was no longer good. What was bright and hopeful that day suddenly came to a screeching halt. Not long after the collapse of that second tower, a New York State police officer came screaming, and I mean screaming, in his car into our work area, skidded to a halt, and told us in no uncertain terms, "You need to leave." I was more than glad to comply. My thoughts were now turned towards my family. I rushed to get home for fear that all bridges across the Hudson were going to be closed. As I'm crossing the Tappan Zee Bridge, I look down and I see smoke just covering all of lower Manhattan. Life was not good. I rushed home and I picked up my son of just 9 months old, and I held him and I cried. I was scared for his future. What kind of world is he living in? What kind of world am I now living in? Life was not good. I soon found myself working down at Ground Zero, setting up emergency cell sites. The scene was so surreal, it was so eerily quiet, and the smell of the place, I will never forget that smell. Life was not good anymore. In fact, it seemed outright hopeless. Over 3,000 people were dead. The buildings that defined the skyline of New York City, and in some ways America, were no longer there. The tragedy of 9/11, however, went far beyond that day. As we learned, hundreds more would die from 9/11 related diseases. Many still do not have closure because the remains of their loved ones were never found. Things seem pretty hopeless. Yet in the midst of it, we did see that America came together. It was a rare time in American history where it didn't matter your political persuasion. It didn't matter the color of your skin. We were all Americans. And if we're going to be honest, that too soon faded. And here we are, 14 years later, remembering, as we should. See, we should never forget. But we should also learn. For me, I've learned that in the midst of trying times, even seemingly hopeless times, that God does not change. God was there all along. He was still who he is. He was loving, he is just, and he is righteous. He's still ruling over the affairs of man, as the prophet Daniel says. I've also learned that there's nothing in this world, absolutely nothing in this world, that will give me ultimate hope. I will eventually be let down by people, by things. I'm going to be let down in this world. It was only in the Lord Jesus Christ that I have found hope. A hope that sustains, a hope that comforts, a hope that lasts. I wasn't asked here today to preach a sermon, so I'm not going to. But maybe many of us have some questions. Where was God on 9/11? Where's God now? Look at what's going on in my life. I would like to extend an invitation to you. If you would ever like to talk about those questions, I would be more than glad to talk to you and give you God's perspective from his word and what he says about life. 9/11 was not an ordinary day. It was a day that joined all of us together in ways we did not want to be joined. Yet it still made us all the more stronger as a country. And I am thankful for firefighters. I'm thankful for police officers. I'll get a little political here. It's a crying shame that their respect is not what it should be in this country. I am thankful for those who will rush into danger while others will flee and run. We live in a great country, but we must never forget the God who established this country, the God who can sustain this country, and also the God who can take this country. Thank you very much.
We just had a plane crash into Alpha 4 of the World Trade Center, transmit a second alarm, and start relocating companies into the area. Battalion 1 is also sending the whole consignment on this box to that area, okay? Engine 6 to Manhattan, okay? The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire. The whole outside of the building, there was just a huge explosion.
10-4, all companies stand by at this time.
There's been a second alarm on that box immediately.
10-4.
Engine 1 to Manhattan.
Engine 1-0.
Engine 1 World Trade Center, 1060. Send every available ambulance, everything you got to the World Trade Center now.
10-4, 1060 has been transmitted for the World Trade Center. 1060 for the World Trade Center.
3 truck to Manhattan.
3 trucks.
Civilian reports from up here, a plane just crashed into the World Trade Center for your information.
10-4, okay.
Trucks available. Battalion 1 to Manhattan.
Battalion 1, yes.
We have a number of floors on fire. It looked like the plane was aiming towards the building. Transmit a third alarm. We'll have the staging area at Vesey and West Street. Have the third alarm assignment go into that area. Second alarm assignment report to the building, okay?